In this video, I'm going to show you guys and gals out there how I built the candle cooling racks for my wife's candle business. I'll show you the tools that I use and how I put this thing together. Enjoy. Got my very efficient heaters going down there. As you can see, I have one over here, one over there next to my Duck Dynasty show. It's very good. Got a bunch of wood, some cut to 1/4 inch, just because how thin it started. Had to plane it down and joint it to make it straight. There's some 3/8 back there and some 1/2 inch. I'm probably going to use the 3/8 and 1/4. I really don't need a thick stock to make a candle cooling rack, so we'll see what we get into. I found some of the better looking boards here, and I have quite a few of them. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to kind of build a frame and then run some of these long ways like this, about 1 inch tall, so there'll be a lower surface area contacting the candles, so there'll be more ventilation, and then kind of even it up on the bottom, maybe run some strips across the bottom to strengthen it. So I got to rip some stuff on the table saw over here, my battery powered Ryobi table saw, maybe some 1 inch strips, and we'll see what we come up with there. No plans required. I did a video on this table saw about a year ago, and while it doesn't have a tremendous amount of power and you really have to use the biggest and baddest battery that you have to make it work out for runtime purposes and for power purposes. And now Ryobi has a nice 21700 cell 8 amp hour and 12 amp hour battery to make that easier. Still, it's a battery powered table saw. It's not as strong as a corded saw, but I'll tell you what, I really enjoy using it. For cutting through pallet wood boards, it works like a boss. I really enjoy it. And since my shop doesn't have a huge amount of power to work with, having cordless tools, even for these larger tools, comes in really handy. And you'll see that I have a Bauer chop saw in a minute too, which is battery powered, and it's only 20 volts. But it is a brushless tool, just like this table saw. And as you see, it does a fine job with the smaller, thinner pieces. But if you added some 2x material, run it through there, it would tax it quite a bit, and it would be much more difficult than if you had a 10-inch corded table saw. This one's only 8 1/4 inches, like a lot of battery saws. Now I got all my strips here, and I'm thinking that I'm going to make it 15 inches, 2 panels of it, 15 by 20. So 15 this way, 20 down this way. Then the panels can fold up when it's not being used to make it a little bit easier. So I had to take all these different strips and cut them with the miter saw at, let's see, 15 inches and probably 19.5 to get 20 out of these pieces, being that there are about 3/8. It'll be a little bit more, but should work just fine. This is my cordless Bauer brushless miter saw. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's a pretty decent tool, cost a couple $100, or it did at Harbor Freight, and now I think it's down a little bit, so it's even more affordable. But with new tools, come with the old tools. This is a corded DeWalt random orbit sander. I picked this up at an auction for just a few dollars. I know that DeWalt sanders are really good, so I picked it up, and it's become a little workhorse. So now I got 2 of these 15-inch pieces. I'm just gonna butt them together like this. Drill a couple holes so I can put a couple nails in these. Go ahead and drill out the holes so the nails won't split the board. Put a touch of glue right there too, and the nails will hold the glue in place till it hardens. And then do the same thing across the board. There'll be a board long ways right here, then the 2 will butt into this, and be another long board on this end, just like this. And then I could place the boards down the line to make the grate that the candles are gonna sit on. This will be our sacrificial board for the drill. Gonna use our trusty Hyper Tough right here. Drill a hole a little bit smaller than the nail. Don't need a big powerful drill for this one. In fact, a big powerful drill might be a little bit too hard to handle. I keep glue in these little containers for condiments that I get at Dollar Tree. They're $1 a piece, come for actually $1 for 2 of them. So I have a spare as well. So it's really nice. And it's been working for me for several months now, and I just fill it up with the big gallon jug of glue whenever this one gets low. And just put a little bit on there. Then I can fit them together. Put them nails in there in a moment. It'll hold it in place. After further contemplation, I should have just screwed a screw hole all the way through this thing. Make it a little bit easier. Now I can put the four sides together, and then we'll take a look at the interior pieces as well. Now that I've assembled one of the finest squares in all of human history, I'm going to take my pencil and mark off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way across in inches, and then we'll put these pieces every inch to hold up the candles and allow some spacing for them to ventilate. So you can see the 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and hash marks all the way down. I'm going to fit these boards all the way across, so I'm going to drill a hole on the top half all the way across for these, and then I can run them across to the other side and do the same thing over there, and then we'll flip this whole thing over to make sure that they are straight up and down by laying out the hash marks on the underside as well. And once I get to that part, I'll show you guys. So I have all these spokes or rails or whatever you want to call them all the way across, and they're nailed at the top side, lining them up on both top sides on these hash marks. So what I have to do is I have to flip it over and actually have to line them up on the hash marks on this side just to make sure they're straight. Then I can nail those all off, and then I'll place a board over the top of these to cover them up with just a couple nails in it. Then I can spray it with lacquer and we're about done. So I have all the sides finished. As you can see, there's nails on all those sides. I'm going to cut some boards to fit along this side and just glue it in place and put a couple nails in it just to hold it in place. And then I can hang it up and spray it and get it to my wife so she can start making those candles. My wife started making candles a couple years ago, and her business has really taken off, so I'm super proud of her and happy that I can help her. She's now in several stores locally here, selling candles online to people, and I couldn't be prouder. And here I am just kind of gluing up those last pieces, putting a couple clamps on them before I get the old Hyper Tough out and put a few more nail holes in them. You guys didn't get to see the lacquer part because the camera needed recharging, which is fine. It's not very exciting. I put these triangular feet underneath the rack so that there is just another opportunity for ventilation underneath the candles so they won't wick heat or cold from the countertop. They're able to cool naturally and at a good pace.